Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tea and Conversations. I'm Karen, and we have a special guest with us today. We are finally going to record a conversation for you. Yes, I know I've been promising this for months, and here we are. You probably see Tammie on the screen now. You can say hello, Tammie. All right. So we're going to talk about, a lot of things. We're going to talk about a lot of things. Tammie and I have known each other for a long time. We were just discussing that before we hit the record button here. I guess since I was 15 is what we determined.
Yep.
So that's a good 5, 10, 20, 30, almost 40 years.
Oh gosh, don't age us.
We'll leave it at a roundabout.
That's good.
So, yeah, I married her brother. So we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about, 40 years, that's a long time. That's a lot of history. That's a lot of love. That's a lot of trials. So we're going to talk about all of it for you. Yes, we are making ourselves a little vulnerable for you, but if this helps others, and I just believe it will, I believe it will help others in their relationships and how to navigate, how to talk about things and come out of it still loving each other. So that's the goal. All right. I'm going to let Tammie do some talking now. So as I mentioned, Tammie is my sister-in-law. I am married to her brother. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Tam.
Well, I am married to a wonderful man of 41 years. We've been married, and we have 2 kids. We have Sean and Krista, and I have 2 beautiful grandchildren, a boy and a girl, Gabriel and Ariana. And they pretty much, all of that fills my life. I do audio. I do record books, and Karen and I will be talking about that because of her book. I was honored to be able to do the audio for her book. And so that's kind of a fun little hobby I do on the side.
Right.
What else do you want to know?
We'll probably touch on other things as we go, right? So, yeah. Okay. All right. So we already talked about a little bit about how we met. We talked about when we met. I think how we met was at CBC, right? The church.
Yes.
When you guys moved?
Yeah. The first time I saw you was when we came to the church, and you and your sisters and your dad were up front, and you were singing. And you guys just blew me away. The Delaney sisters.
Yeah.
That's how you were introduced, and that's when I first saw you. I don't have a recollection of like the day I actually said, "Hello, Karen, I'm Tammie." I don't know if you do.
I don't actually. Okay. I really
happened.
Yep.
And then somewhere along the line, I introduced you to my brother by setting up a blind date.
Yes.
Which I would like you to fill in the details, because my memory is really lapsed a bit on how exactly that came about.
Oh, I remember.
Tell me. I can remember.
So at that time, I was in the church choir, and Keith was in the Navy. So it was summer break between my junior and senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. And Keith was in the Navy his last year. He was going into his last year of the Navy. And so he had a break, and he came home for, I think he had a 30-day leave. So you had told me you were going to bring him to church that morning. And then we would go on a blind date with you and Lenny sometime the following week. So I was in the choir, and I remember standing up on the platform and watching you guys walk in, and he was walking with you.
What did you think at that time?
Oh, I thought, yeah. There's potential here for sure. Well, he had on a black leather jacket, and I was like, okay, this has got potential. So, but I don't think we were introduced that day. I think it was a couple of days later, we went on the blind date. You and Lenny and Keith came over to our house in Merrimack. My father was painting the house and he put Keith. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Now, see, you're sparking the
Okay.
The
Yes. He handed Keith a paintbrush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was still getting ready. And once I heard that he had handed Keith a paintbrush, I hurried to get ready and finish because I just thought I was horrified. I'm like, what is he doing? That's not right. So, but then we went to Tortilla Flats, the Mexican place, not too far from where I lived in Merrimack. And which I was nervous about because at that time I didn't like Mexican food. I barely tolerated tacos.
Oh boy.
I know, but the tacos were fine. And then we went to a miniature golf place and played miniature golf. I had never played miniature golf. So,
that's funny.
But it was a blind date. So I'm going to fake it. And Keith never lets me forget this. I told them, I had never played before. Well, on the first hole, I got a hole in one. Oh yeah. Oh, him and Lenny. Yeah. They had a good kick out of that. It was the only one I think I got in the whole game, but oh, so a couple of years ago, I don't know if I told you, we actually recreated that, except we didn't go play miniature golf, but we recreated we went to the restaurant to Tortilla Flats. So
yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, so that was fun. I like Mexican food now, so I enjoyed it a little more. But yeah, that was pretty much the blind date. And I just remember laughing a lot, having a good time. It was easy. It felt very easy. I didn't feel awkward much. And then during that leave when he was home, you had invited me down to, I want to say it was Lenny's parents' house. They were having a gathering there and we played volleyball. Bill was there.
Yep.
Our friend Bill. Yeah. So we saw, and then he came up, I think, to visit with you guys for a few days again after that, during that 30 days. And then he and I went to the movies. We went on a date by ourselves.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That was the beginning.
That was the beginning. And there's just way too much to tell over the next 9 years. So here we are. We'll just skip ahead. With that part anyway. Oh, goodness. So anyway, all right. So we skip ahead 9 years and Keith and I get married and you and Lenny are living in Litchfield at this point. You have you have the two kids. You have Kristen and Sean. And then it comes time for you to move.
Right. Yep. We
had
not 2 years of underemployment and
right.
We found some very some work that would keep Lenny on his toes down here in Maryland, and we took the chance. And I said I would never move. Never say never.
Right.
We did, and it was the worst of times and the best of times.
Right.
But yes. So I don't want to belabor that. But yes, we moved to Maryland.
Yeah. I didn't believe it was going to happen when you first told me, to tell you the truth.
I didn't either.
I'm like, they're not going to move. There's no way. And then you moved. Yeah. And it was like, oh. And I think why it was hard for me was because I saw, well, that time our relationship was going great. I felt we were communicating well. Things were going all right. The kids, we started having kids, and and you just were bonding with them. So it was a bummer. That was a real bummer. But we came down and visited a few times. Mm-hmm. And then got to the point where we needed to move because of a job. Yes. The economy was not kind to New Hampshire at that point. And Keith needed to find a new job. I was already a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling the kids. And so we needed to do something. So we moved to Maryland with you.
Too far away, though.
Yeah.
40 minutes away.
Yeah, 40 minutes is too far, we've determined. Here's the interesting thing. And I'm going to say this just because I think it impacts, well, I know it impacted our relationship. So we moved down in 2008. How long have you guys already been down there?
2004 we moved. So we've been here for 4 years.
4 years. Okay. I had started counseling for the abuse in 2005. So I was only 3 years into my healing process when all of that was going on. I mean, it's one thing to just move from house to house in the same state, but when you're moving from state to state, it's a big deal. So, I think I just lost your audio.
Did you?
Oh, nope. There you are. Okay. All right. So, that's why I bring that to the forefront, because I think for me, I didn't realize the emotional impact all of that had. And then it just kind of, things down the road happened, more and more. I don't think I was in counseling anymore. So when we first moved to Maryland, it was all about just getting settled, getting the kids homeschooled, getting that all settled. And I think things went well for a while. Mom was living with you at this point. So we would come and visit and have some good times.
It's true. We did have good times. It's just that we weren't as connected anymore. And, because you were further away, we didn't have physical connection. Yeah. And I don't think either one of us were just kind of like, talk on the phone people. So we weren't as connected. So, yeah. But when we were together, it was okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, and then I felt to go back into counseling. I'm not sure what triggered it. But I did end up finding a counselor. So I'm saying all this because I'm not sure exactly. We're coming to the point of, we need to talk about real grace first. But I think things started to break down in our relationship before that a little bit. You think?
I don't remember the exact time frame, but I know that in 2009, after my mom died.
Yes.
Well, actually, it started in 2008. I was on sort of a spiritual revival in my own life in 2008.
Right.
And I was, talk about zeal without knowledge, just completely in love with Jesus all over again and in the Word. And I think that kind of was the beginning of our breakdown because of some spiritual interactions we had that didn't work really well at all.
Right. Exactly. And I was thinking about that just this morning, actually, that part of it. Because on my end, what I feel I did was I made that too much of a priority in our relationship. I think about that now. I'm like, if that had happened today, right? Mm-hmm. I'd still love you. I may not agree, right? We may still not agree, right? But and that's what I'm saying. It's like, I can see so much clearer now how I was not in a good place emotionally, and I did not respond well.
And I did not understand well.
Right.
So you put the two of those together,
Right.
and it's like personal hurts coming together.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling rejected. Like, what happened? I'm trying to share Jesus. We're trying to talk about the Lord. What
Right.
is and you're like, no, talk to the hand. We are not
right. Pretty much. Yeah.
And
yeah.
And I felt like it also impacted your kids.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I couldn't talk to them anymore.
Yep.
And it was just a whole big awkward. Whoa,
right. Because I had approached it that it was somehow, well, it was over the top. Anyway, my response to it was over the top, and in a way that was like, I got to protect everybody. I got to protect my kids from it. I got to protect myself from it.
Right.
And like looking back on it, and I'm like, no.
Right.
And this is the thing I want to bring to light about that is that was very hard for both of us. That was a very hard time. And that was the beginning of the break for us. So it's so important that we can talk about it now, right?
Right.
We can talk about how we've learned, own what we need to own individually about it, right? And not be broken anymore in our relationship. So that's the purpose of all of this. But anyway, it was the beginning of the break, the breaking of our relationship. So we kind of grew. We were just continuing to move apart. The distance was just continuing to grow in between us. And then, of course, for me, things that I write about in my book, I'm just going to do a little plug, the plug for my book. So you can find this on Amazon. This is the one that Tammie, I'm just talking to all you now out in YouTube land. This is the one that Tammie did an audio for, so you can get an audio version, digital version, or you can order a paperback. So I talk all about that in my book about what led up to my episode of depression. There were things that happened on my side, having nothing to do with Tammie, nothing to do with you. But that definitely brought me to the lowest I've ever been, and to the point of suicidal thoughts and an emotional breakdown. So
the hardest part of that for me was because I didn't understand totally what you were going through.
Right.
I didn't know how to reach out. And I think that's a problem for a lot of people. I have not experienced what you experienced.
Yes.
So if you haven't experienced it, you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to do the wrong thing.
Right.
And I did not know how to reach out to you. So I felt very alienated from you during that period.
Yep.
I felt hurt because I wanted to help. I wanted to be there. I wanted to hold you. I wanted to be your sister. And yet I felt totally ostracized from it. And now looking at it, Karen, I understand why you couldn't allow me in. No. Because I didn't understand.
Right.
But then it didn't make sense to me at all.
Right. So. Right. I can't imagine we're the only ones who experience that in a situation like that, Tam. Right. Because of it's the nature of the beast type of a thing that, I mean, someone in depression, they don't have the energy, and I've written about that in the book too, how I just did not have the energy to talk to people and talk to you and tell you what I needed. Right. Not only did I not have the energy, I didn't have the awareness of what I needed. Not at all. That was kind of like almost reverting back to not, I say a child, but not really a child, but I needed to be handheld through that by people outside. So that's why that outpatient program was the best thing for me to get into, because it's like, I just I just can't even think. I know enough to breathe and to put one foot in front of another, and that's it. So, um, so, and then on your part, like you said, wanting to help me, wanting to be here for me, wanting to love me through this, but not knowing at all how to do it, or even like where to turn for help to know. Right. And that's where I feel like, more conversation about these things is needed, so that when we are faced with someone who's in our lives that faces this, we'll know what to do, right? We'll know how to better come around them, or find the resources to understand what they need and what they don't. And that's, it's just
one of the things that you did do. I don't know if you remember, but you did toward the end, when you were like coming back into yourself again, and you were a little more stable after that episode. You sent me information on depression. You sent me some links. You sent me some resources to go and read, and it was helpful.
Good.
It helped me to understand. Oh, okay. Yeah,
right.
I probably couldn't have helped in this situation. I really couldn't have helped her. So.
And let me ask you this, because I realized it for myself. I wrote about this in the book. Do you feel stereotypes of mental health fit into your viewing of the situation at all? If you were to look back and think about that at all?
You mean as far as like people on medications, that kind of thing?
No,
what do you mean by stereotypes?
Just the fact, I wonder if, I know for myself, I found even myself, I had stereotypes about mental illness, about depression, especially. Which kept me from doing the work that I really needed to do to heal from it. I had to recognize those stereotypes. Like, I should be better than this. I should know better. I should be able to do this. I should just decide, to do this, to be healthier, to whatever.
I can answer that in an interesting way, because when we first moved down here, we had a lot happen in that first year. I was very low in iron when we moved here. I didn't have a doctor yet. When I'm low in iron, I'm more prone to depression. It just, because it just drains me. It just totally drains me. My body hurts. Also, my mother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer at our home here.
Oh, yes.
That same week. I mean, it was a horrendous time. I went into depression. But it wasn't a lengthy depression. But I understood to a certain extent that you can't just fix it.
Right.
You can't just come out of it. You can't just pray yourself through. I found myself saying to Lenny, and he can attest to this, I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to die.
Okay.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Okay.
And he just looked at me like, what are you talking about? We just moved down here. And poor man, I felt so bad for him.
Right.
But I was in that state where everything was turned down so far, I couldn't find my way up.
Yeah.
I did go and get an infusion. For me, that helped stabilize my emotions, because it helped my body to feel better. And slowly but surely, I was able to pull through. Right. I didn't have the same kind of trauma that you had in your life. Right. It was totally different. But the feelings, I understood. You can't pull yourself out.
Okay. Good. Well, it's good. And I think that's important for everyone to hear about mental health, mental illness, that it can happen to anyone, first off. And there is a proper, healthy way to approach it, which I was never taught how to do that. So I learned real quick. So yeah, let's back up a little bit, because I jumped ahead to the time of depression. Let's talk about real grace.
Okay.
Hey there, I want to jump in here real quick and do a little bit more explanation about what we're about to talk about. we mentioned Real Grace. That was the name of a program, ministry for women specifically. And what we did was we facilitated small groups for women who have experienced trauma and abuse. And what we're about to talk about is the training we were going through. I had already been through the training. I had already facilitated some small groups in New Hampshire. When I came to Maryland, I was going to start it again. And Tammie was among those that we were going to train to facilitate the small groups. So sorry we didn't describe that, but there you go. Okay, enjoy. So that was before, that was before depression. Mm-hmm. I think that was about the time you just described as your spiritual renewing.
It was.
Place.
It was during that time that I went through Real Grace training with you, and I forget her name.
Gretchen.
Gretchen, that's right. And so at the same time as Jesus was just like overhauling me with his love and his word, I was unpacking things from my past that so everything just kind of crescendoed together.
Yes.
At that time.
Right.
Right before my mom died.
Right. And I'm trying to lead a group, or we were in the process of training leaders. Gretchen came down to help me train you and some other ladies for leading these groups. Mm-hmm. And that's again, because of where my mindset was, that the spiritual aspect, the spiritual teaching, the theology had to look a certain way. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I don't want to downplay truth, right? The truth of God's word and interpreting things properly, teaching properly, all of that, right? I mean, that's important. Right. But I guess I could say I was a little dogmatic about how that should look then in light of Real Grace within that context. And that, I overstepped with that, and I hurt you badly with that response.
I also felt like, yes, it hurt really badly.
Yes.
I felt like we had a chasm between us. So that part was it was a very difficult time.
Yep.
I told you before, I felt like I lost my sister.
Right.
And it was also a good time for me, though, to begin looking at myself and looking at, okay, here's her, her issues, she's got her stuff, but where do I play in this? And how did my responses play in this? I look at it as I was the hurt victim.
Yeah.
And that really was not a good place to be, because it kept me from looking at my own responses. So I think it was helpful in a way, not that I enjoyed the years we were apart for sure.
Right.
But I think we each examined ourselves and look at how we responded and what was good, what was bad, what was healthy, what was not healthy. How could I have done this differently? How could I have looked more at her, you, and what you were going through, rather than looked at how I was feeling at the moment. My hurt, she hurt me.
Good.
Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
It really doesn't take into account the other person.
Right.
And that's not who I want to be.
Right.
So.
Exactly. That's good, Tam. Good stuff. That's good stuff. And I think that's what's required to get through. Every relationship has bumps and has, I think, especially one as long as ours, as many years as ours is, you're going to have times of where you're not getting along so well. But like you just said, right? If we could both step back and just say, all right, what do I need to own here? What do I need to look at? And how do I need to change in responses, in how I'm thinking about something here, and insight, right? Get some insight into how you can bring healing to the situation and respond better. It's amazing. That's just amazing. So yeah, Real Grace fell apart because I had basically told you that your belief system doesn't fit with Real Grace, and I can't have you as a leader. Just, wow. Like, yeah, that's again, so sorry. That should have never been said.
Water under the bridge now.
But thank goodness, yes, we've learned that that's just not the way to handle. And Tam, that's what I look at is that, okay, so maybe there was some potential issues, but we love each other. We could have talked about it. We could have, I think, worked through it. And that's what's to learn now is that we can talk, we can learn. Because the bottom line is we love each other. That's the bottom line.
It's supposed to be the bottom line.
It is.
Love covers a multitude of sin, right?
Yes.
That's what it says.
Yes. And when you're emotionally healthy, and I wasn't so much. So there was just a lot going on. I think at that point.
Which, until I read your book, I really didn't understand. You had articulated a lot of different things to me through the years, different little pieces. When we tried to get ourselves back on track again, we had lunch a couple of times. You tried to tell me where you were at.
Yes.
But it wasn't really until I read your book that I got the full picture and just basically fell apart reading it because I had no idea. I just had no idea. And I could have done this so much differently. I could have been a whole lot less hurt because if I had just seen where she was at, really, I could have put myself aside and my own feelings and been there for her in a way that would have been.
And that is such a good point. Thank you for saying that, because that's exactly another element to all of this is when you just don't know what someone's been through, right? And so for us as people, like I explained in my last video, there's a community of us who have been through abuse, sexual abuse as children. And not that we want to be a part of this community. We did not choose this, but that's what it is. But we've got to talk about it.
Right.
We've got to help others understand what that did to us and how it damaged us and the work it's taking now to heal from it.
Right.
Because unless you go through it, you're not going to understand. You're not going to understand my responses to things, right? So it's both sides that have to do, that have to actively engage in a relationship. We can't just expect everybody to come around us and know automatically, how things feel and the extent of what happened. And that's why I went into details in the book, because I knew people would not understand unless they knew how bad it was.
And not even so much, Karen, the actual abuse as to what happened to you. That wasn't the part for me that, was the, oh my gosh, that wasn't it.
Okay.
It's the way you articulated throughout the book how you felt, the way you thought. When you did all those posts in your journal, how you gave us insight into your journal.
Yep.
And showed how you were processing, how you were feeling.
Right.
That's what did it for me, because I went,
sure.
Oh, I had no idea she thought that way, felt that way. That makes sense. Why she acted this way, because she was it just all made so much sense.
Right.
The abuse itself, I'm not discounting that. Yes, that was
Yeah.
heart-wrenching. And I
Sure.
did cry through that with a
Yeah.
little girl. But it was how you articulated, which you had never been able to really do for me before,
Mm-hmm.
in person. So I just didn't
Right.
get it.
Right. Because allowing people to hear the details for me initially breaks down the wall that of huge shame and vulnerability.
Mm.
So then I can be more open about why I was thinking the way I was thinking and just be real honest about this is why, this is where it took me, type of a thing. So it kind of all works together. And I'm glad that that's what came across to you in the book, from the book, because that was really the purpose, was to help others understand more
It worked.
about it. Yeah. Good. Yay. All right. So Real Grace, I was also thinking about that this morning, about how I was not capable in that moment to realize, I believe that I should have backed away from Real Grace sooner than I did. It kind of just fell apart on its own. And I feel bad about that. So I realized that I had a goal in mind and I was just pushing ahead. And when I do that, I think when most people do that, you're a bull in a china closet. And so you just, tromp all over people in the meantime and in the midst. And it's just, can end up tragically. So learned a lot from that time, and still learning. When you look back on it, right? It's like, oh yeah, that wasn't good. So, but here we are today, right?
Restored.
Able to talk about all of this. I don't know about you, but it still kind of blows me away. I mean, we've had many, many conversations over the last couple of years and touched on things. And it still blows me away that we can be so honest and vulnerable with each other about the past, right? And I don't.
If it was your book, for me, even though we've tried to reestablish, and I felt complete release and freedom after I read your book, because then I really knew, then I really understood. I was able to put everything in perspective. All of our interactions, everything that had been said or done in the past, all made sense, and I just let it go. It was just gone for me.
Nice.
So for me, your book was just that release.
Yeah.
And then I was just waiting basically for you to kind of, I didn't want to, because I just wanted to come back and say, okay, let's be sisters again. Let's, but I wasn't sure where you were at. So I was kind of waiting for you to see where you were at in all this.
Yeah.
And through the talks about your chapters and your books, we kind of cried together, and
we did.
Gosh, it was beautiful.
We did. And I appreciate your sensitivity to what you just said, waiting to see where I was at. Because I have to say, and I think I shared this a little bit with you when you and Lenny were down here. I realized I was tough to love because I had the tough girl persona up for so many years. So that does not allow love in.
Right.
And when I began to feel like I could take that down, it's scary.
I bet.
It's really scary.
That's your protection.
Yeah. So I don't trust very well in relationships. And it's something I'm still working on. But I do feel like I've come a long way since counseling since the episode of depression, since writing the book, even. Yeah, it's done a lot for me in that way. And now I don't know how to describe this because it's such a new feeling. I almost, you know how like, you have somebody who is normally, as kind of even keel, but then they all of a sudden something really strikes that nerve in them and they're just so excited. They're over the top excited. That's
that
how I
was
feel.
me way back when.
Okay. Well, that's kind of how I feel.
I know. And I feel that. It's awesome.
And I think, oh, am I acting so immaturely? I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if I'm acting like too excited and it's just weird and awkward or,
it felt freeing. It felt
okay.
For me when we came down to visit you guys.
Yes.
And just to be, open and honest here, I felt so welcomed and so loved by
good.
you. And so I felt like you were so free to just be who you were.
Exactly.
And it just, your countenance was so joyful.
Oh, good.
I haven't seen you like that in a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah. It's been a long time. And I don't even really know, Tam, that it's ever been to the point that it is now, to tell you the truth. I can't remember feeling this free, feeling like I don't know if this makes sense. I'm excited to love people.
Yes, you're free.
Yeah. When you and Lenny were here, it's just like, this is just wonderful.
And that was weird for us. Okay. Because that was not the old you.
Yep.
And Lenny came away from that visit going, wow, that was so nice. He goes, I wasn't expecting that.
Okay.
Wasn't expecting that. He didn't know what to expect.
Honestly. I know.
And we came away going, wow, let's go back.
Yay. I mean, it makes me feel bad on one hand for all the years that I feel like we've lost because I couldn't be like that, but right.
It's okay.
Right. We learn, we move forward. Now we can. And it's just a beautiful thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to gush we need to move on. We're gushing.
I know. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to add? Because I think that's pretty much all I had for my notes.
Okay. Well, then we end with a good gush.
Yeah, I guess we do. Right. Yeah. I guess again, overall, it's getting to the point, and it can take years sometimes. It just depends on the two people involved and all that needs to be healed and worked through. But when there's love and there's patience, it can work.
Right.
It can be better than I ever imagined. And I just believe that, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Tam, for doing this with me.
You're welcome. This was really fun.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Another subject. Let's just talk.
I know, right? We will do this again for sure. You did fantastic. I'm so glad that you were able to do this with me. And I think it's going to help other people. And that's what we're trying to do, be that example. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let you get on with your day.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll let you know when I get all this edited and put up, and we'll see what happens.
That's good.
All right.
Love you, girl.
Love you too. Bye. Bye. So you just heard a video recording of a conversation between my sister-in-law Tammie and myself. And I really hope that you were able to glean something from it. She and I, like I mentioned, we've known each other for a very long time, decades. And so just with that history alone, we have a lot of ups and downs. And some of the downs were pretty difficult things to go through. But here we are today. talking about it and loving each other through it. So I hope that you'll let me know how it maybe impacted you. Maybe you have questions, and I would love to answer those for you. Maybe you have some comments. Let me know what you think. So be sure to like, subscribe, and leave your comments. And again, if you don't want to leave a public comment, that's perfectly fine. You can go to my website, KarenPoirier.com, fill out the contact form, and that sends me a private email. So we can have a private discussion if you would rather. That's fine too. All right. Don't forget to check out the book, You Are Not Alone. If you go to my website, there's a link there to Amazon for the paperback version. On Amazon is the paperback version, the audio, and the digital, the ebook version as well. All right. That's it for this time. I hope you come back, because I hope to have more conversations. All right. Take care. We'll see you next time.